Hello once again, YouTube. Major Tom 2417 here, with 3 games for this episode of EpicStravaganza, all 3 of which were made by a Polish development team simply named Chaos, and published, of course, by Epic Mega Games. 2 of them don't have corresponding Ancient DOS Games videos from Chris Azek, aka Gemini, on his Pixel Musement channel. 1 of them does. The 2 that don't have videos are puzzle games. And if anyone's wondering why I sound just a little bit high-strung, it's because I actually had to record footage for those 2 puzzle games twice. So, yeah, just a friendly reminder, always back up all source footage that you use when making videos, otherwise you're going to have a very bad time. Moving swiftly on into the first of today's 3 games. The first game being Robbo, or Adventures of Robbo, even though the way it's spelled it should be pronounced Robbo, but I really couldn't give less of a crap at this point. Can you tell I'm pissed off? I know I can. Anyway, the entire point of Robbo, or Adventures of Robbo, or whatever the hell it's called, is to collect bolts and move through the planets of each system, starting with System A. I'm sincerely hoping that there are not systems corresponding to every letter of the alphabet, because if there were, I think I'd feel a strong, overwhelming urge to throw my computer across the room. You collect bolts, you move cyan-colored cartoon bombs into place to blow up the little golden spool things you have to push around. And to set off said cyan-colored cartoon bombs, Robbo has a blaster that you fire with the space bar in whatever direction you're aiming or facing at the time. You will encounter turrets, drone-looking things that move around in random patterns, eyeballs that chase you around for some damn reason or another, and all sorts of other annoying crap preventing you from getting to the bolts. The most annoying obstacle being the spools, which if you move them in the wrong way, will cut you off from a bolt, and the only way out is to press escape, which costs poor Robbo a life, and then you get to restart the level. And every single time you pick up something, be it a battery, a bolt, a key, or whatever, you hear a monotonous voice declaring what you've just picked up. And also, it'll tell you that you have to find a way out when you've collected all the bolts. And if you choose to press escape to get out of the level and start it over again, that same monotonous voice will say, "Poor Robbo." So there's that. And then there are the green question marks, which you can push into the way of the lasers that will occasionally be fired at Robbo going across the screen and whatnot. Those can spawn an extra bolt, an extra life, incredibly rarely, an enemy to chase Robbo around, a turret to shoot at him, or just nothing, and it'll disappear with a stupid noise. Other than a brief tune playing on the title screen, this game has no music. This game also has no main menu. This game has no options menu. This game has no instructions to tell you how to play the damn thing. This game has no story section to tell you why you're doing everything that you're doing, collecting bolts and keys to open locks and pushing cyan-colored cartoon bombs around, or anything like that. No explanation of why there are enemies in the game, what the enemies are, why there are eyeballs occasionally chasing Robbo around the levels. Everything you would expect from the menu of a game like this isn't there. On the title screen, you have the choice of pressing spacebar to start the game, or F3 to enter a code, which is this game's way of saying password. And if you want to bypass the earliest systems and get to the later ones to do more complicated and annoying planets, you can enter a code to do just that. As far as my personal experience with this game goes, I have had none before gathering footage of it for this video. I never had the game back in the day. It was never on any of the CDs or floppy disks my uncle had. And I'm actually kind of glad that I never played this thing back in the day, because if I had, I think I would have put my fist through the CRT monitor. This thing is, and this is just my personal opinion, but this game is annoying. The monotonous voice, the enemies that dart around in random patterns, the lasers that fire unpredictably. Annoying. All of it annoying. And then there's the lack of music, the lack of a main menu. Maybe this was the first game that Chaos put out. I know for a fact that they were able to improve by the time they released the second game in today's video, which does have music and a main menu. So let's move swiftly on to that one Shall we?
A bolt. Poor Robbo.
Fortunately, most of the flaws in Robbo are corrected in this second game in today's EpicStravaganza, Heartlight. And no, Heartlight has nothing to do with a certain extraterrestrial with a light-up finger. Heartlight has you playing as an elf named Percival, going around 70 boards, as they call the levels in this, and collecting cartoon-style hearts. Dodging, all the while, giant steel ball bearings, and what look like bunches of blueberries but are actually some sort of explosive device, plowing through grass, moving through one-way conveyor belts, and generally trying to solve the boards without locking yourself in, getting locked out of collecting all the hearts, or even destroying the hearts and or possibly even the exit door. Because all of those things can, do, and will happen. What Robbo lacks in terms of presentation, this game has in abundance. Robbo had no music, Heartlight has music, and music that can be turned on and off even. Robbo had no main menu, Heartlight has a main menu, with options to start a new game, read the instructions, or quit the game. Seriously, it's like everything they got wrong with Robbo, Chaos got right with Heartlight. Now that doesn't mean that Heartlight isn't annoying in places, because it very much is. It is entirely too easy in some boards to drop the exploding blueberries onto a heart and subsequently lose said heart in an explosion. In one instance, the exploding blueberry thing even fell onto the exit door and destroyed the exit to the board. I wish I was making that up, that I was joking, but I'm not. It happened. And of course, the ball bearings or even the hearts that you're supposed to be collecting can fall onto Percival and basically explode him as if he was hit by one of the exploding blueberries, which can also happen. Even with all that in mind, however, this still isn't as annoying as Robbo. There are no enemies chasing you through the boards, unless you count the exploding blueberries, and should you become stuck in an unwinnable situation, you can hold down the spacebar and press the left or right arrow keys to go to the previous board or the next board. Heartlight actually keeps track of how many boards you've solved, even if you navigate between them using the spacebar plus left or right arrow keys method, which is leagues better than Robbo using codes or passwords to get you from one planet to the next. And yes, I know there's a password you can enter in Robbo that allows you to skip planets by just pressing the tab key, but seeing as how I only found out about that after I finished recording footage for the Robbo portion of this video, I wasn't able to make use of it while recording. In summary, I have to say again, everything that sincerely and really annoyed me about Robbo seems to have been corrected with Heartlight. There is in fact music, there is a main menu, you can bypass the boards that you think you can't solve or you don't feel like trying to solve. Overall, much less frustrating experience. And having said all that, it's time to move on to the final game in today's EpicStravaganza video.
We have to be careful. This is an emergency area.
Electro Man. And yes, Chris Asic, aka Gemini, has done an Ancient DOS Games video on this game over at his Pixel Amusement channel. In fact, I'm considering making an EpicStravaganza companion playlist with the Ancient DOS games and Lazy Game reviews and the one Civ 11 video talking about everything mentioned in the series thus far and even things that have yet to be mentioned in this series, but I digress. Electro Man, unlike the previous two entries in this video, is a platformer, starring the eponymous Electro Man, whose actual name is Polish for Jack, I think. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'm going to get it wrong and probably annoy all of my Polish viewers. But anyway, your goal in each level is to find 3 discs before finding the exit and leaving the level. Along the way, you will have to deal with enemies, turrets, and other hazards. But you can increase the power level of your weapon by collecting batteries. I'm getting flashbacks to Robbo from that. And the enemies and turrets pretty much go down in 1 or 2 shots, so nothing much to worry about there. Apart from Electro Man only having 1 hit point. Somewhat weirdly, this game takes a few steps backwards from what Chaos did with Heartlight. Namely, there is once again no main menu, and thus no way to read the instructions or select options or anything like that. There was a soundtrack to Electro Man available on cassette tape, and if you got the freeware release, you didn't get a download of the soundtrack to go with it, which meant you had to conduct your platforming and such in relative silence apart from footsteps, laser sounds, and the sounds of projectiles impacting with the enemies and/or Electro Man. There are checkpoints that mark your progress, but also depower your weapon, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. And fortunately, for those who want to keep their fully powered weapon, there are cheat codes. To use them, you first have to type in Chaos during gameplay, and then something like Super, which makes Electro Man invincible, or W2 through W5, which powers up his weapon. Other than that, not much else to say about this. I don't have a lot of personal experience with this one, although I will say that of all the 3 games I gathered footage for this video, Electro Man was the one that I went back to the most, and that frustrated me the least. So there's that. It also bears mentioning that the original version of Electro Man was called Electro Body. And yes, the checkpoints feature a cross symbol on them once you pass them and have a reversed sound sample of some pastor yelling a religious phrase that has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. Although, weirdly, the T in the title of Electro Man on the main title screen of the game does look suspiciously like a cross. So perhaps Electro Man was envisioned as a religious game at some point, but got changed to generic sci-fi for reasons unknown. Not saying that's what definitely happened, just some mild hypothesizing. Also, fun fact, when I was gathering footage for this video, Electro Man was the game that I ended up getting the most footage for. I believe Robbo and Heartlight clocked in at around 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes apiece, lasted 8 minutes, but the initial footage for this one clocked in at around 8 minutes and change. And once again, I have to mention that Electro Man, out of all 3 games covered for this video, was the least stress-inducing and/or frustrating of the bunch. So yeah, probably helps that this one has cheat codes, whereas the other ones didn't. Not counting that one password from Robbo that lets you skip planets by pressing the tab key, which I didn't know about while recording. And that's going to be it for episode 4 of EpicStravaganza. Thank you all so very much for liking, watching, commenting, and subscribing. I hope you've been enjoying the 4 episodes uploaded thus far of EpicStravaganza and everything else I've uploaded to the channel, and I hope you continue to enjoy EpicStravaganza and all the videos I upload to this channel in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. This is Major Tom 2417, signing out.